I think that I personally believe he has a really good shot still at the title, even though he's what was he 19 points back, Kenny? Dude, with the up and the downs of Chase and Coop, like one weekend he's good, one weekend he's a little better than good, and then some weekends is just off. I feel like outside of Tampa, I feel like Ken is the most consistent guy out there. He talked about how he needed a little more speed, but I'm not. I haven't ruled him out yet, dude. He doesn't build it up as he can win it, but I think he can with 9, 10 more races going.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, right? I mean, from a point standpoint, he's still in it, and he is probably the most consistent. But he made that big statement, and we all can see it too. Like, speed has been he doesn't have that all out sheer speed in these races. But with the his confidence, his mental capacity, and where he's at just in his career, very, very consistent. It's not going to do anything super spectacular, but also not going to make any big mistakes. Like his big mistakes so far, where it was, what was it, Tampa, which wasn't his mistake, which is a bummer. Can you imagine if we get Tampa, get rid of that race for him? He got caught up with the lappers, lost his chain, so then he was pulled out of the race. And where would he sit right now without Tampa
Yeah, he'd
sitting?
probably be the points lead, or he would have been the points lead going into this weekend because we talked about that. Yes.
Yep. Yep. So it's a bummer to see that him in that position, but he's just chugging along and he's right there. He's staying right there. The bike seems to be working well. Him on an emotional level there's not a lot of highs. There's not a lot of lows. I think that goes back to during his during the week program, his family, his kids, and just knowing, what he's good at and where he needs to be better. And it's just very consistent. So yes, from mathematical standpoint, he's still in it. I think it's really, really good. I think it's going to be hard for any one of these guys to beat Coop. As we're looking at the points right now, Coop sits with 146, Chase Sexton with 5 down, and Ken Roczen, who we're talking about right now, is 19 down. So
Yeah.
that being said, as we know, Chase makes the mistakes. Which, if you're Kenny, you're gonna lean on those mistakes. And Coop, it is motocross, it is supercross, right? Anything can happen. So if there is a mistake there, that 19-point gap from third to first could very well shrink, and then now he's in it, really in it for the long haul when it comes down to these last 5 rounds.
Hey, James T. Barnes 9. Kenny said he needed more speed. We were just alluding to that. What does he do this week to get that extra speed? So, like, if you're mentoring Kenny, like, and you go out to the track RV, what are you working on with him or getting him to work on to try to get a little extra speed? Tell me what you guys
Yeah,
do.
that's a tough question. Why I say that is Kenny has some really good sprint speed typically. Like he is one of the best sprinters. And then he's able to make quick passes, and also, when he gets past, he makes a quick pass. So to me, it's not his sprint speed, which is, I think, easier to work on than the longevity of the speed through a course of a 20-lap main event or a 20-minute main event. Sprint speed is very easy to work on. You can get out there, you can sprint an all-out sprint for 2 to 3 to 4 laps, whatever you're working on for those block of sprint laps. But from the longevity standpoint, I think or for the length of the race standpoint, that's a bit harder to work on. And also, why I say that is kind of where his position of where he is in his life. Like as we just watched, we've had quite a few guys go out this year with injuries, and I think where these riders sit today, the ones that are a little bit older, they're playing the long game in this thing. They know that there's 0 championship won when you're on the ground, period, along with getting hurt. And anytime that you set that thing on the ground, you have a chance of getting hurt. So go back. There's not much I would change, put it that way. Like, he's in it for the championship right now. He's got good speed, but yes, can he go back and work on it? Yeah, he can. But to bridge that gap mid-season is very, very tough.
Totally.
To bridge that gap to Coop, or even bridge that gap to Sexton, which I think has the upper hand on Coop from a speed perspective.
Yep, 100%. A very, very similar situation. And you've probably been in this area too, James T. Barnes 9. An example would be like in my time in 2003, and it's like 5 and 6. Like I had my speed and it was what it was. And I just had to rely on my tangibles in other areas, whether was good at defense, where I would start being consistent. On some nights I would be close to the fastest guy, but you got to remember, like, Bubs was faster than me majority of the time. Chad was really good, faster than me. Not as much as James was, but still like quite a bit. So I just had to rely on race strategy and just being there, right? So, and I feel like what RV just told you is that yes, like you don't want to throw it down on the ground. You have good intensity. You're great at starts. You're explosive at the beginning of the races, and you have consistency. And that's what you just have to rely on and hope that it works out for you on the average. He only got 1 point at Tampa. So you just have to assume, had that not happened, and listen, I know we race, blah, blah, blah. So all you haters, go ahead and pile on. But so like just big picture of things, he would have gotten at least 19 points, and that's where we kind of got he would probably be close to holding the red plate by now. So I think that there's a lot of racing left. It can work out well for him too, just because I think he's in his happy place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And RV, I would take your advice 120% of you just go and you focus on executing what you do really well, and the rest is going to play out how the rest is going to play out.
Yep,
100%.
yep. And I think the biggest thing that Kenny can gain from that is actually during a race situation, right? If Chase makes the pass or Coop makes the pass on him, and they are, call it, half second a lap quicker or 0.3 a lap quicker, is that right there in a race scenario is latch on to him and see where they're going faster, because that's the easiest way. During the week, Kenny's the fastest guy at the farm, typically where he rides, right? So he's riding with a bunch of other guys, but Levi's one of them, a 250 guy, and you can always set that carrot out in front, and you can run them down. But there's no replacing the actual racing and following and learning from guys like Chase or Coop that are going a little bit quicker. And that way you can really pinpoint where are they going quicker at on the track. So, like Daytona this weekend, or any one of the races that are in our future that are coming up, if he puts himself in a great position off the line, off the gate, gets around the first turn, and happens to get passed by somebody like Chase, trying to latch on and improving your speed right then in that situation, I think you can see over the course of 5 or 6 rounds, if he can do that, he will improve his speed throughout the main event.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.